Welcome to the Dire Wolf Show, where we believe that America is exceptional and that our constitutional rights should never be infringed. I am Dire Wolf. On our show, we bring you the truth and debunk fake news. If you love laughing at the insanity of the regressive left, sit back and relax. Boy, do I have a show for you.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back, Wolfpack. This is Fox Trevize here. Dire Wolf will be back in just a second. We had some technical difficulties tonight after Streamlabs decided to do an update and dumped all of my settings, which was fantastic. Very exciting. Real happy it happened. But while we are waiting for more people to join in, because we didn't get our early start like we normally do, where it sends out notifications and brings people in here to watch. So we'll start having some people straggle in here as time goes on, and Direwolf has stepped away for a second, but we are going to watch a funny video while we wait. Let me, if I can pull it up correctly, that is. Give me just a second here. We're having a really just all-star night right now. All right, let's watch this video.
Hi, everybody. Here we go.
In Arkansas, my brother was her lawyer. He was lawyer of the year. He represented Hillary. She just get a judge because you get my niece and you say Chelsea. You guys don't have a clue what's going on in Arkansas.
Okay, pal.
You're nuts. Bullshit. Where's the evidence? My brother had her data. My brother protected Hillary. Hillary.
Let's be louder.
It'll never happen. Oh, you wait. No, you wait. Oh, I did. My brother. I don't think what your brother did. It was Hillary's lawyer.
Well, looks like everybody's here.
President Trump!
All right.
And President Trump is here to fight like crazy to keep America free.
It's time to say goodbye. Ready? See ya real soon.
Trump 2020, he loves you. He's fighting for America. God bless President Trump and God bless America.
I almost forgot.
Impeach Trump 2020. 4 more years.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Direwolf made that, and I thought it was funny. That lady obviously sounded a lot like Mickey Mouse, and
No, that was Mickey Mouse.
Oh,
didn't sound like
Mickey Mouse. Maybe Mickey Mouse sounds like her. I don't know.
Mind blown.
Explosion.
All right, are we live?
We are live. We have been live. I have been doing a terrible job of hosting by myself, and I'm glad we're back.
All right then. Well, I will save you all from Fox's being the host. Welcome back, Wolfpack. Dire Wolf here for our weekly news recap behind enemy lines on YouTube, where speech is not free and the truth is demonetized. Along with me is my apparently can't solo co-host, Fox Trevize.
Hi, Dire.
Thank you for covering for me. So I want to thank everyone who makes this show possible. Those are those who support us financially or remain: Nathan Cameron, Tetris Freak, Slowpoke Garcia, Golem, Lone Fury, Tundra Arakin, who is female, by the way, Strong Arm, Hellraiser Zaylon, and White Lion. I spelled Zaylon interesting. Anyway, so also big thanks to Timberwolf and Star Shadow.
And by spelled it interestingly, you mean you spelled it not at all. Oh boy.
I don't remember doing that. Anyway, so
It doesn't look like you remember doing it.
also, for those who don't support us financially, we thank you very much for helping to help the channel grow by sharing these videos. So as we've gone over every single show, YouTube is doing their very best to suppress our channel. The way we grow is by you guys taking a few moments out of your day to hit that share button. We appreciate it a lot. Please definitely share the DLive link because our survival on YouTube is tenuous.
at best.
At best.
Potentially lethal at worst.
Yes. So about that video we just played at the beginning there with the with Mickey Mouse going political, anti-Trump political. I don't actually know the backstory behind that. It was just such a funny clip on Twitter. I felt that it required the amount of editing I put into it.
I think it was just a classic case of Trump derangement syndrome with a mix of feminism in it.
Yes, I am questioning, though, why her brother, who was apparently Lawyer of the Year, defending a guilty woman was somehow an argument.
Is that what she was? I thought maybe she meant like he was in the military or something.
No, he was a Lawyer of the Year somewhere. I know that was a prize or award they gave out, but apparently he was somewhere the Lawyer of the Year.
Which case did he defend her in? Was it the defamation case of like all the Clinton victims that she was smearing, or was it the one where she killed a the ambassador to Benghazi?
Well, it definitely wasn't her her emails being deleted and the cover up related to that because they decided she was innocent before.
Yeah, that never got litigated, so
so definitely wasn't that.
It must have been the one where she killed a U.S. diplomat.
Yeah, it must have been that, or her indecision and refusal to act resulted in the death of a diplomat. So we're not sure because I know it's going to surprise you. I have no more detail about the story than you do from that clip. Other than the fact that she definitely, or he, not discriminating here, because Mickey Mouse was a dude, definitely was Mickey Mouse, and that was hilarious.
Yes.
All right. We have another video here. This one's a little bit longer, but it's from.
We do not have this video anymore, Dyer.
Why?
The video that you selected has been removed by the user.
What?
Oops.
God damn it! I got a strike.
God. Wait, this is from you. This is on your channel?
Yes. That means I got a strike.
Oh no, Dyer, no!
It's on my backup channel.
This
so.
is why I download them and put them manually into the slides. We even talked about a YouTube downloader earlier today.
So I put it on the other channel, the one that we're not streaming on. So
R.I.P.
Strike there. It's not as big of an issue since we only upload there. We don't stream. But okay, well,
remember when we were just talking about how our position on YouTube is tenuous?
there is certain topics we're not allowed to talk about. We're not allowed to show Stelter from CNN saying something extraordinarily stupid. I'll just do the synopsis of it then. Basically, it's a Ryan Stelter. Right,
Brian, Mr.
Brian.
or eunuch. He identifies as a eunuch as well.
So the eunuch that is currently working for CNN brought on an author who had published a book claiming that Trump was basically the leader of a cult, and he was using mind control. Legitimately using mind control to control his followers. And his reasoning for this, and which I really wish we had the quote for it, but it was like using emotional language to get reactions from his followers. Are you kidding me? The Democrats are all about using emotional language. You got the clip there?
I believe so.
This person didn't have it banned.
Well, it's on Twitter, Dyer.
Still salty.
All right. Dyer getting a strike.
What's the first step of deprogramming?
All right, let's see. Here's
the first step with anyone who's a true believer is contact with people that are outside the bubble. Cult leaders want to isolate their people. They want family and friends to just disappear rather than keep engaged. Hey, did you read this article? What do you think of it? I'll watch one of your shows, watch one of my shows. In other words, appealing to the person's true self, their authentic self, that wants to be a good person, that believes in America and democracy and truth.
For the people who are dreading Thanksgiving, you're saying it's an opportunity to get together.
Exactly. We're family. We're friends. Let's talk. And truth will out. Truth will stand up.
All right, I think that was the clip.
If you say this is a cult,
I don't know. I couldn't hear.
What's the first step of deprogramming?
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that was part of it. That was the second part of it. There was All right. Well, that was the part that I could find on short notice.
Okay. So, basically saying he's a cult leader, that he's using mind control, and that he does this by using emotional language. And what was the other part?
So have you heard the latest?
Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, that it requires so much lack of self-awareness. The Democrats are the ones that are using emotional language and trying to get people to think with their feelings rather than their facts. The fact that they tried to make that an argument for of what Trump was doing is pretty ridiculous. And it's not that Trump doesn't use like some emotionally charged words, but his overall reasoning for, say, building the wall isn't a purely emotional reasoning, right? Yes, he brings out like the mothers of people who have lost kids due to criminals that were multiple offenders who have been, deported multiple times. Yeah, that is trying to pull at your heartstrings, but that's because it's part of an overall strategy for a logical argument for why we need to have border security, right?
Yep.
Whereas the Democrats' response to the legitimate argument of we have to have a strong border protect for our nation's security, to protect our economy, to ensure we aren't, flooding the country with low-wage workers, and bringing people into our country that are not vetted and could be, criminals, and there have been a lot of criminals that have taken advantage of that fact that we have a porous border. Their response to that logical argument is a purely emotional response of saying, that's racist.
How dare you?
There's no faction there. There was no racial argument made for why the border should be there, but the responses say, oh, that's white supremacy and that's racist, and those are emotionally charged words that mean, oh, well, it's those things, I got to automatically be opposed to it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a shortcut, and I think I found the clip here, and we can watch it here in a second, but I if I remember it correctly, at one point he says something to the effect that they use quick terms that I think he says it's like a way to short circuit thought, where you jump past thinking and jump right into that emotional argument, and they're blaming us of doing that. And to the extent that we do that the right does that, I won't necessarily disagree with that on all counts, but the left certainly perfected that method of saying a buzzword and getting that into somebody's head as more or less like a meme, and getting into their head and just skipping past all of the critical thought just into an emotional argument.
Oh, I definitely wasn't saying that Trump doesn't do it. In fact, I gave an example of how they do that, right?
Yeah.
But that's in addition to having a logical, explained argument for the policies he wants.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see if we can get this clip to work here. I think I found one. We'll find out.
Health experts. Stephen Hassan is. He's out with a brand new book called The Cult of Trump. He has firsthand experience escaping the Unification Church back in the 70s, and he's decided to write this book because he believes there's something seriously wrong with our politics.
So I define a destructive cult as an authoritarian pyramid-structured group with someone at the top who claims to have total power and total wisdom, that uses deception and control of behavior, information, thoughts, and emotions to make people loyal and dependent and obedient followers. So for
Like
me,
Hillary?
the issue of between an ethical, healthy cult where you're free to think and free to lead
Healthy
versus
cult.
a destructive cult, I'm referring to Trump's organization and followership as a destructive cult, where people are being fed propaganda and they're not being encouraged to think for themselves. They're not being encouraged to really explore and look at the details and arrive at their own conclusion. Much of what they're hearing is emotionally driven, loaded words, thought-stopping and thought-terminating type cliches like fake news or build the wall or make America great again.
You say the president is
You don't get called fake news because someone's just discounting you by using the buzzword of fake news. CNN, as a great example, and it's very ironic that they're the ones accusing Trump of, providing fake information, right? False. CNN repeatedly gives solid examples where something is proven to be true that is the opposite of what CNN has said. So they are being called fake news because it's accurate. It's like the chicken and the egg here. It wasn't that Trump started calling them fake news to discredit them. They were discredited by lying, and then fake news was a buzzword way of saying the truth that has been made evident.
Yeah, we don't have. Nobody's got 37 minutes every time we say CNN's fake news to go through all of the evidence as to why just over the course of the last 3 days.
But the last 2 years, I have done a recap of the fake news throughout the year, right? I've done a video expressly just on CNN and their fake news. I will, in January, do another video for which I have a plethora of sources showing what they've lied about this year. They are fake news, not because we're discrediting them and saying no one should listen to them because of we're insulting them. No. They're fake news because we can show a myriad of examples of how they've lied objectively to the American people and about Trump specifically.
Yeah, but aren't they morally correct, Dyer?
No. So
no.
So the irony is that they're accusing Trump of what they regularly do. They discredit Trump and say people shouldn't listen to his policies by calling him racist, by calling his supporters racist and white supremacists. They don't want you to look into their reasoning. They don't want you to hear his arguments. They want to discredit him, and that's what they're accusing Trump of doing.
It's like saying family separation and concentration camps.
Yes. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. And then I want to point out, though, that this argument that Trump is brainwashing people or has some sort of superpower to mind control people is not actually new. It looks like this author here just kind of repackaged an article that was published, an opinion piece that was published by Axios in June of 2018. Right? Like same exact argument was already published by Axios. This guy should probably be checked for plagiarism.
Can I just say how funny it is that somebody who used to be in a cult and got out of the cult is now supposed to be the expert on being able to think for yourself, and he's going on CNN.
Sounds like he's predisposed.
Yeah,
predisposed to
more power to the people that escape the cults, but I'm not necessarily going to take your word for stuff. Like, you're probably not the expert on how to avoid them.
He kind of fell out of one cult into another, so I'm not really going to congratulate him so much.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll take the advice of somebody who never fell for a cult.
Yeah, I mean, CNN's boss, what's his name?
Zucker?
Jeff Zucker. He is the cult leader, right? He's dictating from on high every morning what people are going to say and believe, right?
Yes.
A better analogy than what Trump's doing.
Better than ABC, who's taken their direction from Epstein and his whoever's left of Epstein's little circle there.
Yeah, well, apparently it's the royal family.
Yes.
She mentioned them directly as calling them and putting pressure on them. Anyway, so those are some starter stories, just some funny things we saw. Let's move into our first real story. Ooh, I like that clip. I might borrow that.
What? Oh boy. Anyways.
Oh boy.
All right. Wow, is this true? This can't possibly be true. I don't know. I'm going to read it anyways. But Dyer's got written here. Obama is a conservative? Question mark? I've certainly got a question mark about it. Let's find out. From 2008 to 2018, Barack Obama was considered blameless by the left and the mainstream media. He could absolutely do nothing wrong. CNN declared dubiously that once that Obama had a scandal-free presidency. Except for all the scandals. If you were in an... they're a little fast and furious with that quote there. If you were an exclusive consumer of left-wing mainstream media during this period, you likely believe this. Not because Obama was legitimately scandal-free, but because the mainstream media refused to report them. I can think of about 100.5 billion reasons why.
Yeah, me too. The mainstream media refused to talk about how Obama had deported more illegal immigrants than any president that came before him.
Technically, that's not a scandal. That's just doing his job. But
right, we don't see it as a scandal, but for the left, it was a scandal. They willfully ignored that he instituted a policy to separate children from their illegal alien parents at the border, for the protection of the kids. And they turned a blind eye when he kept them in the very same detention centers or cages, quote unquote, that ICE used under the Trump administration, that they then attacked Trump for that policy and those detention centers, even though
the pictures of the detention centers. I think that Obama only implemented that policy so that he could get pictures to use against Trump later on.
That's some fifth dimensional chess.
Yeah, that's AD checkers there. So they also ignored the whole Benghazi incident, which, oh, wow, there was some foreshadowing earlier in the night about that, apparently, when they lied to the American people about leaving 40 Americans to die in Libya.
Yeah, and there's no way I could ever forgive Hillary or Obama for what they did to those people. It's a miracle, and only by the testament of the heroism of 4 people that those 40 people didn't die. Only a couple did, and because of the heroism of only 4 American soldiers. Had those people followed orders, they disobeyed orders. Had they followed orders, though, all of those people would have died, except for them and the few people at their facility. So it was 30 people that would have died, and there was 10 more at the facility, I believe it was. So that's a pretty big scandal that was ignored. And of course, they completely ignored the utter failure of Obamacare's website due to mismanagement and poor planning. They hired a company that was very small and lacked the resources.
And was a Canadian company.
Yes, and they chose the company because of some corrupt connections where someone was trying to get a sweet deal for someone that was a relative of a relative, right?
Yeah. Do you got Solyndra in here somewhere?
And I don't. There's this is the short list.
So Solyndra was like the classic, like the original scandal.
Yeah. They also glossed over the repeated lie of you can keep your plan, you can keep your doctor. That was a lie.
That was a known lie when he said it.
Yes, he knew it was a lie at the time when he said it, and he said it multiple times. And then when the policy finally when Obamacare it was enacted, the media just ignored the blaring fact that what he said was not true. The point is, Obama was far from scandal-free, but the left has held him up as the vanguard for the Democrat Party, despite that.
As recently as the last Democrat debate, Senator Kamala Harris invoked Obama's name, and it helped her not at all, saying that the Democrats need to, quote, rebuild the Obama coalition because that's the last time we won. Good luck, Kamala. But the reason Obama won't, or the reason Obama won wasn't because of far left politics, but because he attracted moderates and independents, the same people that determine every election, by lying to them about hope and change.
Yes, that emotional charged language we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
That means nothing. So both Pete Buttigieg and Biden have run on continuing Obama's legacy. That's their platform. We're going to continue what Obama did. We're going to keep winning like he won. But the problem is that the platform for the current top Democrat candidates, including those two, include reparations, free college, gun confiscation in some cases, and other left-wing policies that have drifted far from what the Obama era
drifted. I think you meant lurched.
Lurched far to the left. So all of the candidates currently for the Democrat Party are very far left compared to Obama. They have led. This has led to the Washington Post publishing an article that voices the common realization on the left, but by their new perspective on the far left, Obama appears to be a conservative to them.
So the Washington Post actually made the argument that both the left and the right misunderstood Obama's politics. Yes, that's right, guys. We were just hallucinating for 8 years. It wasn't what you think. Let's listen to the Washington Post on what the reality of the situation was. They wouldn't lie to us, would they?
Constantly.
The statement is at least half right. Yes, Democrats are confused about Obama. They have over 8 years of hearing. They have over 8 years of hearing how he was blameless, which led to an abrupt turn. This year. Now, Democrat elites are openly criticizing Obama-era policies when they are supported by Trump, Biden, or Buttigieg, while trying to not criticize Obama himself. Conservatives, on the other hand, not confused about Obama at all. They realize he was on the left, and just because the Overton window has shifted for the left, it doesn't mean that they agree with Obama any more than before. And this is all stuff that was kind of joked and memed about even as recently as a few months ago, that, oh, all right, when are the crazy Democrats going to say that Obama was too conservative? There was a lot of people predicting that, and it was really more of a joke prediction, but, you know, let's never let a good joke go to waste, says Washington Post writers' room.
But it's not just with Obama. Like, if you look at Bill Clinton, his policies would be considered conservative in comparison to the left today, right? And really, Trump is not a conservative. He's not. He is a moderate liberal, but compared to the Democrats, he's conservative.
Well, you know what I think it is? I think I think that Obama probably, in his heart, back when he started, I think he's gotten a little more realistic as he went through his career. But I think the young bright-eyed senator from Chicago, I think he might have in 2008 agreed with a lot of what's on the Democrat stage right now. But he knew that was not an electable position to hold. Twitter has confounded the Democrats into believing that those are electable positions, so they are not concerned about keeping them secret. And so I think that, you know, again, if you had asked Obama when he was younger, he probably would have agreed with a lot of this stuff. He just didn't have this Twitter mob of, 1% of the voting base, screaming rah rah at his ear, let's go socialist. And all the current DNC candidates have that, and they get confused, and they think that Twitter is real life, and it's not. Twitter is not representative of the moderate voting base. They're not even really representative of voters in general.
Or sanity.
Yes, or sanity. And so that's why they are mistakenly feeling comfortable about coming out with these very, very hard left policies. But I do think that this is something that, again, Obama probably would have agreed with a lot of this stuff. He was just tactful enough to know that. So to the extent that Obama is different than them, Obama has tact and they do not. All
right. So are we here?
Yes.
As a testament, wow, to how far left the Democrat Party has lurched.
Testomates.
As a testament to how the far left the Democrat Party has lurched compared to Obama. Obama in October of this year actually warned the party against the pitfalls of woke cancel culture. Obama is calling out woke cancel culture. Wow. Telling a gathering of young Democrats that if all you're doing is casting stones, you're probably not going to get that far. This is still a country that is less revolutionary than it is interested in improvement. And I think he's very much accurate in that assessment.
And I think I think that goes to what I was just saying. I think that's something that he learned over his 8 years as president, was that he learned that America was not ready for a revolution and they were interested in improvements rather than 5 days away from fundamentally transforming America. He realized that they were not interested in that. And so I think that is directly a lesson that he learned.
When he ran, he was still courting moderates, though, and independents. He was not when he was in office. I think he pushed far left-wing policies.
Well, even in his run-up to the election, he was very, very far left. I mean, he launched his campaign in the living room of a family friend who was also a former terrorist. So, I mean, he was very far left, and again, I think he would have agreed with a lot of this stuff. He just knew that was not an appropriate position to hold on a national stage.
He definitely did not voice those positions as much as the people currently running for the Democrat Party. He was more about the not explaining the policy and just saying hope and change, because that's something that would, people can get attracted to without actually buying into the policies he's actually advocating for. He was not great on details when he was running.
Yes. Unless those details involved giving lots and lots of money to corrupt players.
I don't think he just came out and said that, but it did happen.
Yes, exactly. He never said it. It happened, but he didn't say it. It just did it.
Yes.
He had his pen in his phone. All right. Is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. The Washington Post went on to say that Obama was in fact a conservative, because he did not depart that much from the presidents that came before him. Well, good. That statement is both wrong and absurd. Obama's policies are not conservative just because they are not socialist authoritarian, that the current Democrat platform is. That just means that he is less left-wing than they are. Obama's signature policy of universal health care, something that was destined to take over 1/6 of the economy, 1/6 of the entire economy, was by far the biggest lurch towards socialism the United States has ever taken, even more so than Social Security. And that is a very far left policy that he ramrodded through, and it didn't even really get through. And then the Supreme Court rewrote it for him, something that the Supreme Court is not supposed to do, and then rubber stamped it for him.
I don't remember that being in the Constitution anywhere, where the judiciary can rewrite laws for the administration and then pass it.
Yes.
When was that authority that the
that must be the 26.2 amendment.
Right.
It's in there somewhere. It's in the penumbra of the shadow of the Constitution, Dyer. Duh, everybody knows that. It's the penumbra.
I think it sounds like bullshit.
It's right next to where you're allowed to kill babies after they were born. Right. It's right next to that, and it's before where it says that you're not allowed to have guns.
I don't remember that part of the Constitution at all.
Well, you're not a constitutional scholar then, Dyer.
But Obama sure was.
Yeah, of course. He was a lawyer. He was very smart.
Yeah. Obama also passed executive orders like DACA that overstepped the administrative powers that were carried, and the executive orders carried the effect of passing law, essentially, right?
And slight correction there, it didn't overstep administrative powers; it curb stomped them
to death.
Yes.
American History X style.
Like put your teeth on the curb right there. That's perfect.
So, yeah, the administrative branch can pass executive orders for the purpose of, enacting of administering the current law, right?
Yes.
But they can't do an executive order that basically creates a new law. That's something that has to be done by Congress. And Trump said that when he undid DACA. He says, hey, I'm not opposed to DACA. However, it is not something that the president has the authority to do. It is something that a law has to be passed, and then the president then enacts that law by using their administrative power to make that to follow that law. So in this way, Trump actually is being more true to the Constitution than Obama, the constitutional scholar, ever did, right? So
being true to the Constitution, that sounds like fascist stuff, Dyer.
Right. So I like that Trump is like, no, the president should not have this power, right? The representatives of the people should be determining these kinds of laws, and that is his job to enact them. I like that Trump was actually giving up power in that situation.
That's a first.
And setting a precedent for the presidency that they shouldn't have that power.
Followed by CNN saying that the president giving up power is a fascist takeover.
I know, which, by the way, is roughly an argument that was really made. Ironically. Yeah. And then we had the judiciary. We had courts saying that that Trump didn't have the authority in the administrative to undo an executive order that was passed by a president. And the irony is he didn't have the authority, so the presidency didn't have the authority to pass an executive order in the first place. But now they're saying that they don't have the authority to undo an unconstitutional executive order. My mind is blown.
The other, thank you, Fordak, for the follow. The other hilarious thing too was that the whole DACA execution was done through the bureaucracy, which not Obama's fault in particular, but the bureaucracy is not a part of the Constitution anyways. It's he gave an executive order to do something outside the legislature to a body that the Constitution does not recognize. Right. What is going on?
And then that body went on to pass regulations and rules that also carried the weight of law. He created a bureaucracy with an executive order. This is so beyond the scope of the presidency. It is insane.
Yeah. I think to the extent that they said that it was scandal free, I think that they were somewhat correct, because a scandal, I think more so than being something that the administration does wrong, a scandal is something that the media notices and gets upset about. And the media may have noticed, but they never got upset about anything Obama did. So
some members of the media got upset.
Yes, it's fair.
But
that is fair.
The mainstream left-wing media did not. They ignored it. And then anytime someone brought up Benghazi or the emails or Solyndra, they said that's a conspiracy theory. And anyone who's talking about that is crazy, and we're not going to bring them on the show because they're just conspiracy theories. That's why the people on the when the mainstream media talks about fake news and conspiracies, I just can't take them seriously. Because, first off, they're the kings of conspiracy. Was it 2.5 years of Trump-Russia collusion and saying this is, they have solid evidence, and then the walls are closing in, bombshell, 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 until, of course, it never happened. It was all a lie, and then they move on like nothing happened, and they'll even refer back to that thing as if it were true, even though it was disproven long before. They still refer back to Trump being a agent of Putin, still to this day, even though it was discredited.
Even Schiff was referring to that in the impeachment hearings, that as if it was a known fact that Trump was a Russian spy, and Schiff of all people knows that is just not true. Maybe Schiff is maybe he's being mind controlled.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it sure is rich, them saying that, Trump and those who support him are, spreading fake news. And it's really rich on them to say that people like us on, social media, we are conspiracy theorists because we talk about things that legitimately happened. Benghazi and the story about what happened there is very well documented. What Hillary did with her emails is very well documented, and they just chose not to prosecute her for the crimes we know she committed. Those are not conspiracy theories.
Well documented by conspiracy theorists.
Government records.
Yeah. In short, the Washington Post is very wrong when they call Obama a conservative. Shocker! I know the Washington Post being wrong. Wow, we're gonna give him 4 Pinocchios here. We need to come up with a Pinocchio system for Direwolf Media. You
actually,
work on
we already have a system. They're called how many Washington Posts are they?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, 1 to 10 Washington Posts is how we determine how fake news they are. This is a 10.
Do like barks and bites. They're also dead wrong when they are trying to say that conservatives are confused about Obama. We're not.
Not at all.
Not confused.
We know just where he stands.
Exactly. The good news, however, is that Obama was right. Most of the country is not revolutionaries, and they do not prescribe to the far left ideology. A great example of this is how Baby Yoda from the TV show The Mandalorian got more than double the social media engagements that any individual Democrat candidate has, and I believe more than all of the bottom half got combined. Yes. The fictional character has more reach and realistically far better ideas than any of the
relevancy.
Yes, than any of the Democrats do, and he doesn't lie. At the same time, Trump has 3 times the engagement that all the Democrats have added together, and I believe double the engagement that even Baby Yoda has. So
more than double, yes.
Yeah, so yes, more Baby Yoda more popular than the Democrats. Trump more popular than Baby Yoda. You do the math.
The Democrats have no hope of getting the Obama-era coalition back together because they're not actually courting the Obama-era coalition. That coalition was made up of moderates and independents. They're courting the far left, which is the smallest group in the country, other than possibly the white nationalists. Though they have a lot in common.
Anyway. I think that they're missing the point that the Obama coalition, the reason why they can't court it is because it's already existing and courted by something else. The moderates that were attracted to Obama, that the moderates that elected Bush and then switched to elect Obama, that group of people, they are down on their luck, especially during the 2008 election. That was right when we were having the housing crisis, the financial crisis. There was a lot of people down on their luck, and they were looking for some kind of change. Bush was very, very much establishment. No matter what party you were in, Bush was very establishment. And Obama was very not establishment. For all of his other faults, he was not part of the establishment. And he was promising hope and change from an establishment character. And the moderate coalition, the moderate Obama coalition that elected him in 2008, guess who was promising a outside change from the establishment in 2016? Trump was. They went to Trump. So the reason why they are not going to be able to court the Obama coalition, as they're calling it, is because it is now the Trump coalition, and they just can't see that.
Yep. That's it.
We solved the mystery, guys. If it wasn't for those,
we did.
If it wasn't for those meddling media agencies,
we did really well on that story since it wasn't spell checked at all.
I did my absolute best.
You did a great job.
Well,
this one's gonna be rough.
Great. It's hard because you have to, if it's spelled wrong, you have to guess on the tense, and then if you get too far into the sentence and realize that you had guessed the wrong tense of the word, you have to work even harder to try and autocorrect it in your head, and sometimes you just can't do it.
And then the train derails.
Yes. That is a metaphor for this show.
Yes.
Trump controls the media like a clueless puppet on a string. So maybe Brian Stelter had something. Maybe he was right about the mind control thing. Let's find out. Maybe it's just the weak-minded that he can control, which would be Brian Stelter. My favorite thing about Brian Stelter was not anything Brian Stelter did, but hearing Mark Levin criticize Stelter for the way his voice sounds. Because if Mark Levin is going to stoop to doing a ad hominem attack, it is absolutely hilarious and absolutely warranted. If Mark Levin attacks you on anything other than your ideas, you've done fucked up.
Have you ever heard Mark Levin not on his radio show, like on TV rather?
Yeah,
his voice is far less high pitch on video than it is on radio. It's still high pitch, but it's way less weird. I don't know what he does on the radio, but he has some sort of weird filter going on there.
Yeah. I know. I saw him on Twitter I think it was last week. I don't remember who it was, but he had a curse word in his tweet. I was like, damn, Mark Levin means business. Anyways, all right. So what did the Orange Man do this week? What did he do to control the media like clueless puppets on a string? Dyer, why don't you tell us?
Well, it's your part first.
I just read that, but I improv instead.
The Trump. Okay, fair enough. Trump has fundraised 10 times more than any of the Democrat rivals, but doesn't need to use that money for advertising. The mainstream media reports on him constantly, which gives him that free advertising. Sure, it's negative reporting, but the thing is, the way they criticize him is so ridiculous that it functions best as the best advertising he could ever want. At the same time as they are talking about his policies, they're also, the way they mock him about stupid shit undermines their own credibility while bolstering Trump's claims that they are fake news.
The first example this week is from how the media speculated wildly that Trump had a serious medical condition, possibly a heart attack. My goodness. And because he attended, this was all because he attended his annual medical exam 2 months early. How dare he? The Hill reported that Trump made his appointment because he was suffering from chest discomfort, which was immediately refuted by Trump's doctor. CNN contributed to the speculation about CNN contributed to the speculation about Trump's condition by saying that his appointment violated established norms. Wow, really?
That phrase. Phrase again.
Wow, you move your appointment up 2 months. I mean, the dude's a busy guy, in January in particular. So 2 months from now would be January. January is like a busy time for everybody. Yes. He moved his thing up. He had some chest pain, or just not even pain, just discomfort, and allegedly, and CNN says violated established norms. He's basically impeachable.
And the irony is that so he didn't have chest pain. Someone who was a unnamed source for the Hill said that, right? Right.
What was the leaker's name? I bet you it was him.
Yeah. So someone said, without any evidence, that Trump had chest pains, and they then reported that as being the reason why, and that probably meant there's something more serious. And yet they didn't report that freaking what's his name? Sanders had a freaking heart attack until far after.
A really bad heart attack too, and they were trying to spin it to say that it wasn't a heart attack after it came out that it was, because it had like a really specific medical name that everybody knows means heart attack, but it was like very, very specific type of heart attack. And so the media said, oh, no, it wasn't a heart attack. It was this, it was this medical terminology because we're all Latin medical scholars now. And you dummy, that's not a heart attack. It's a this thing. And they were just trying to gaslight everybody about it. But Trump's like, I'm going to go to the doctor 2 months early. They're like, he's dying. He's dying of a heart attack.
They try to ignore that.
They wish.
They try to ignore when Sanders had a heart attack. Tried to say it didn't happen. They completely ignored Hillary passing out and having seizures multiple times, and they refuse to
and giving birth to small phlegm creatures.
Right. They refuse to acknowledge when big Democrats are sick or ill, but then they invent. This is not the first time, by the way. They've assumed he was ill and his wife were ill, and also assumed that he and his wife were getting a divorce in the beginning of their presidency. They go on wild speculation about Trump with zero evidence. And to try to somehow damage him, but they won't do that when the Democrats legitimately are ill. It's insane, but completely predictable. So also I'm tired of hearing this phrase, violated established norms. What do established norms have to do with Trump and when he wants to conduct his schedule?
Are we to believe that nobody in media has ever changed a doctor's appointment?
Or that a president never has?
Yeah, they're like, man, well, I've never changed a doctor's appointment. Have you ever changed a doctor's appointment? No, of course not, sir. Of course not. Like, I mean, God, what kind of fascist or, what kind of, I bet you it was because of Putin. I bet you Putin told him to move his doctor's appointment up. I bet you it was code for 2, because I bet you 2 probably lines up with numerology for some kind of like Nazi propaganda. I'm sure that that FBI numerologist who's talking about the flag being put to half mast on 8/8. I bet you he's out there trying to figure out what this 2 months means. Secret code.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Haven't you heard, Fox? You can't change appointments. Schedules are written in stone.
What if Putin's going to attack in January, and so Trump just knows he won't have time to have a doctor's appointment because he's going to be busy welcoming Putin? Do you think that could be it?
That's probably it.
I have as much evidence that is the reason why as CNN had when they reported this.
Well, see, Fox, I actually have a reliable source that has suggested that it's very, very likely that Putin is probably going to be attacking in January.
A reliable source? Do you mean
reliable
Brian
source
Stelter?
Told me.
Do you mean
no,
Brian
I meant
Stelter?
you just now, but don't tell anybody because you're the whistleblower.
Oh, yes.
And now you can say that you heard from a reliable source because we both are citing each other.
No, it was verified in the media. We now have 2 sources. You've got me and you've got Dyer, who heard it from me, but not really me.
No, I heard from a reliable source. I didn't tell you who the source.
This is all right. Somebody who break out Wikipedia. We can put this in Wikipedia right now. Putin is coming in January, and that is the reason why Trump moved his appointment. Well, you guys might think this is an elaborate joke, and it is. This is also verbatim the process CNN goes through to vet their sources, and we're not kidding about that. Like this is really how they do it.
This is actually how the Trump dossier got published.
Yes. Except for being a joke, part. It was the FBI.
Yes, it was FBI, one guy being quoted by 2 sources,
and it cost the taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. We just did it for free.
We're so nice. We do it for free. Anyways, what do established norms have to do with Trump's schedule, and how do they dictate, like what other presidents have done? How they dictate when he wants to schedule his appointments? That is crazy. Why is I'm tired of this established norms. He's the president. He sets the norms during his administration, and you can go fuck yourself. That's how that works. According to the White House press secretary, Stephanie Grissom, Trump attended his exam early, get this, because he happened to find himself scheduled to be in Washington for a full week, and that's where his doctor is located at. So because he's already going to be there for a week, and because he knows that the following 2020 year is going to be super busy because there's some sort of election going on, he figured he probably wouldn't have much time like this in the future to go get his appointment done, because he's planning on going on a lot of events, was doing the campaign trail. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I imagine if you're the president, I mean, your schedule is up for change at any moment all the time, and you have no idea what kind of, foreign scandal or event, or maybe going and getting the next the number 18 on the next ISIS leader list, sending the dogs after him. You never know what you're going to be doing. If you've got time to do something like this, you do it when you got time. You don't just say, we'll put that off till another time. If you've got a free moment, you use it for something like this. And he seemed to think that he was going to have a free moment, and so he used it instead of waiting when he knew that he was likely not going to have a free moment in the future.
It's that crazy. Wow. He's basically a Russian asset. Basically.
Let's see here. So, it's my turn now.
I also want to throw out that it is your turn. I'll also throw out how insane it is that the Democrats and the mainstream media think that whatever he says said on his public schedule is like what has to happen.
Which I think we've got a story coming up here where that gets them in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
So, all righty. Next up, Trump also this week stirred the media when he posted a meme of Rocky Balboa with his head cropped onto it, which I think that's fake news. I think
sounds like doctored to me. It sounds like he was trying to
I don't believe either of you. I think this was a real picture of Trump. I think that was the head fake. The media was in a frenzy reporting that Trump had, quote, doctored another picture, and speculation about what this post meant. Their attempts to criticize him for posting this meme achieved nothing but to spread the meme to more people. And it was hilarious because when he posted it, the first thing I saw was a wave of conservative commentators retweeting it saying, all right, media, where you at? Like, we know that you're going to get freaked out about this, and joking about it being doctored and everything. And then about 2 hours later, then I saw the wave again of all the headlines saying, did Trump doctor this? And it was like, oh my God, you guys took the bait. I think it was Sky News who said their headline was, it's unclear what it meant when he posted this. And I responded to that with a tweet. I was like, it was so that you guys would freak out about it. Obviously,
so it was actually a response to people freaking out about his health condition. People started saying, oh, he must be having a heart attack. So he posted a picture with no comment of him looking ripped and healthy, right?
Yeah.
Just to troll the media. The entire point of that picture was to mock the media and to goat them into even more ridiculous responses. And the funny thing was, you're right. The responses from conservative commentators, like, who was it? Basically, conservative commentators saying, hey, news media, how long before you say this was doctored? You should check into the source of this document, this picture. I saw the jokes about them being goaded into it before they actually published those stories.
Yeah.
So they were being mocked and saying, hey, you should call this doctored while you look into this and find out the meaning of this meme. And they did it anyways, even though they knew that they were being mocked for it. Oh my gosh. So the Trump's campaign, the mad lads that they are, hilariously responded to the Washington Post article that accused Trump of doctoring the picture by saying that the picture was actually not doctored at all.
I love that. Just lean into it. Just be like, oh yeah, guys, it's definitely not doctored.
This is exactly what it looks like. Trump and his campaign clearly have a sense of humor, and the left-wing media do not.
It's not even just that they don't have a sense of humor. It's that it's either because I don't know. You've got to have some kind of mental disability to not understand a joke like that, right? And it's clearly meant to be satire. And the left used to be perfecting satire. I mean, they've got they used to have all these, well, they still sort of do, all these late night comedy shows that are, supposed to be satiric, but I don't know, they're not really that funny anymore. But, they used to be the pioneers of satire, of making fun of the stodgy establishment. And here's Trump, more or less making fun of himself. He's like, look at my body. Like, when the joke of it is that everybody knows that is not what he looks like. Everybody knows that he's a fat old, almost 80-year-old, which that's fine. But the joke is, like, he's hiding this just ripped, like, 40-year-old athlete at his peak prime underneath all that suit and eating McDonald's all the time. And that's the joke. The joke is that we know that this is not him, and that it's almost the polar opposite of what is probably under his suit. And it's self-deprecating to an extent, but in being able to laugh at himself by knowing that is not what he looks like, the media just cannot, they either willfully are not understanding it. They're either purposefully not pretending that they don't get it. I think just to be upset, they just need a reason to be upset. So they're pretending that it's not a funny joke to the extent where they're pretending that they don't even understand it at all. Or again, maybe they really don't understand it. And it is possible that they really just don't understand it. They seem to be pretty humorless like that. But either way, it doesn't bode well for the media. I don't know. What would we rather have? A media class that is more or less mentally disabled and doesn't understand comedy, or one that is willfully lying about not understanding comedy? Which one of those is better?
I think the reality is that a lot of them that are working at the big companies like CNN are intentionally misunderstanding it, or so that they can then push a certain narrative for their audience, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, some of the smaller companies that are really hiring legitimate progressives that maybe aren't the best critical thinkers actually don't get it.
Do you think that this could be like a kind of like group mentality, where it's kind of like a mob mentality, where like 2 or 3 people in the newsrooms are like, that's not funny. He must think that we really think that's what he looks like. And everybody else is like, dude, that's clearly a joke. But then they're like, well, I don't want to seem different. Yeah, you're right. That isn't even a joke. He's probably trying to be serious about that. And then it just takes like 1 or 2 like humorless people who have a lot of confidence, which is the entire media, and then the rest of the newsroom just like falls in line like a bunch of bovine cows just nodding their head. Yes, of course.
I think it's got a lot to do with that there are people in middle and upper management of these companies who have a legitimate political bent that they are pushing as the narrative, the through narrative for all the stories. In addition to that, there is a legitimate economic incentive that their actual audience that will view things are viewing it because they're expecting anti-Trump news, and they're more likely to get clicks on anything that's negative about Trump. Not only because their viewers will view it, but also because we'll click it because it's so outrageous and then comment on it.
And once again, this is a whole news cycle on anything but Epstein. Report on anything. What do we have? There's nothing in the Q, sir. There's nothing but the Epstein story. God, we gotta find something. Quick, look at Trump's Twitter feed. Oh my God, we gotta turn this into a scandal because we have to report on anything but Epstein.
Basically.
Alrighty. So that was our 2 scandals so far. So we had the Trump going to the doctor, and then Trump going to, I guess, what is it? Was that Rocky 2 or Rocky 3?
Yeah, the Rocky meme.
Going to the Rocky, going to the ring. And then next we had Conan the dog. Trump possibly misgendered Conan.
One second. I just want to take a moment and appreciate the fact that we legitimately have a news story that is a close-up picture of a dog's wang. That's a real story. And then it reads, "Good boy or good girl, experts weigh in on Conan the dog's genitals. In a world where the White House can't be trusted, we turn to a veterinary investigation." This is the most absurd news story I've ever seen.
Why
was the picture necessary?
That's a penis.
That's why, Dyer.
Oh my god.
I totally lost where I'm at in the script.
That was quick. I'm impressed.
You didn't know I had that queued up.
I did not.
Let's see here. So Trump misgendered Conan theoretically. I guess the argument being that Conan is it's really a genderless name. It could be a girl, could be a guy, could be a zer. Who knows? I think Conan really identifies as a terrorist muncher, but we'll let him decide. The military working dog that helped kill al-Baghdadi in the raid because he borked at him so loud that the guy had to the scumbag had to blow himself up because he was very scared. And they spent so much effort focusing on the gender of the dog, something that really no one cared about, while at the same time advertising unintentionally the positive story that Trump had given a medal to and a plaque to the hero dog. Plaque spells like the plaque on your teeth. I think. Anyways, but yeah, basically, the thing about the Conan's his gender was it was originally reported that it was a boy dog, and I think that was just because dogs are typically seen as masculine, and if you don't know the gender of a dog, typically people will default to assuming that a dog's a boy until they know otherwise. Just because dogs are masculine creatures, and I know it's very heteronormative of me, but then it was reported the day after that some people were saying that it was a girl dog, but then during the Pentagon did a briefing a few days later. They were giving more details about the raid, and in the briefing, the general that was giving the presentation referred to Conan as a boy. So it kind of went back and forth, and then when Trump was giving him the award at the White House, which the only reason why Conan was at the White House to receive an award is because of another meme that happened almost in the exact same way as the Rocky meme, where Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire, his group put out a meme of
a doctored photo.
Yes, a doctored photo of Conan receiving the Medal of Honor. And the media flipped out trying to figure out if it was real or not.
They actually contacted them and asked them for if they had doctored the picture. They're like, are you insane?
Yeah. So because the media made such a big deal about this meme, they turned it into reality, and the White House invited the real Conan to the White House to receive.
Give him a real medal.
Yeah, it's not fortunately not the Medal of Honor, but it was a medal, and we can call it whatever we want. So we'll call it the Medal of Honor and a plaque. And so the whole reason why Conan was even there was because of a meme. And now it was a reality. But then, Trump refers to Conan as a good boy, which I think he appears to be a good boy because...
He's a good boy.
Yes. So the media lost it.
That's a penis.
Also, I find it a little bit bigoted that Slate, the author of this article, by the way, Slate, it's the company, not the author. So Slate published this article, and I think it's a little bit bigoted because they're assuming that just because Conan has a dick, that he identifies as being male.
Yeah, everybody knows that the way that you gender a dog is by asking him his pronouns.
Exactly. They didn't ask him, Conan, what he chooses to identify as, so they're all bigots over at Slate.
Did we learn nothing from that research paper called Dog Park?
Yeah. Do you even gender studies? Come on, Slate.
Jesus. We must have a bunch of straight white men working there.
Yeah, obviously they're all bigots. White supremacists even. The most important part of the whole situation with Conan going to the White House and getting the medal, and this was pointed out by Trump while the dog was there, was he's giving the medal and the plaque to the dog. But That's because it's the face that everyone is able to pour out their love on.
Is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
Wow. Thank you very much, Timberwolf, for the $2. He says, I didn't read it, so.
I'll pull it up.
But let me finish the fact that everyone got so upset to the point where everyone had to stare at a dog's dick.
That's today's politics.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways, Trump pointed out that they're honoring the dog because the dog is the only one we can direct our attention towards, but that he is also, we're all honoring in doing that. We're also showing our love and our honor towards those who can't be on the stage with him. So because they got so freaked out about the misgendering of the dog to the point where they had to take a close-up picture of the dog's dick and make an article about it, because they did that, they drew attention to an event where Trump showed honor to all of those soldiers who did a great thing for our country. And that's good for Trump.
Well, and the side story to that, too, was that after they got over the misgendering of the dog, there were side stories about how Trump and Melania were rude to the dog because they looked like Melania was scared of it or something, which it didn't look like that at all. I watched part of the award ceremony. That didn't come through at all. The Conan was standing next to Pence and leaning up against him, and Pence was scritching his ears, which was adorable. But there wasn't any. I don't know. They were just making so much out of nothing. And again, I think it was because they ran out of stuff, and all that was left was ABC helped cover up for Epstein, and they can't report on that. So anything but that.
Trump says that his military advisors had or at least his advisors, it was implied it was the military ones, that had advised him to put a muzzle on the dog and possibly not to touch it because the dog does have an instinct to bite, right?
Yes.
And they bite their own handlers all the time, not to the point like they're mauling them, but they don't have a fear of biting people, right? So they voice their displeasure by biting. That's the nature of training the dog to be a war dog, is they will do that, right? So I think that the compromise they worked out was, okay, we don't want the image of having a muzzle on the hero dog. Okay, we're not doing that. But we also don't want the image of the dog biting the president because that looks bad. So they compromised to have Pence petting the dog.
Yeah, we got
which means they're fine with Pence possibly getting bit.
Well, that's what the vice president is for. We got some nice pictures here of Pence petting the dog, and you can see how happy Conan is. He's always got this big goofy smile on him, which is just so great because that was what we loved about the original picture of him. Was he he was the dog that was gonna go chase down the baddest guy in the world, and he just got a big goofy dog smile on his face, and he did not disappoint in the awards ceremony. You can see he's being a goofy dog getting pets from Pence there.
Yeah. I love that fact that he was legitimately just a happy dog all the time. I was like, I hope it wasn't just like they got the right picture at the right time and he just happened to be smiling like that. But he's just like that legitimately all the time.
Yeah, he's just a good boy.
I want to point out that as much as I was saying earlier that they have the capacity to bite people, they don't usually. There has to be a reason why. They were uncomfortable in some way. They were scared in some way of something or someone that they might show their displeasure that way. So it's not likely that Conan would have bit the president or the vice president.
Look at him. He's such a good boy. He would not have bitten anybody he wasn't supposed to.
But
could you imagine? Trump. That was absolutely the right call, though. You can't put a muzzle on that. Look, he wouldn't have been able to smile like that. Everybody would have been really upset if they put a muzzle on.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine the outrage that would have happened if he had put a muzzle on him? I mean, I probably would have been upset about it too, but the media would have just ripped Trump up and down for that. That absolutely could not have happened.
Absolutely. I'm glad he didn't follow his advisors. I used to work around some military working dogs all the time, and I even would put on the bite suit and the bite arm to give him some practice. And yeah, I've had the dog go for one of my unprotected legs because I was running too fast or the wrong way. I wasn't doing it right. The dog didn't like it, So instead of jumping for my arm and tackling me, it went for my leg.
It was like, I know that this is not going to get through to you, so I want to make sure that you understand that I am displeased, and I know I'm going to go after the leg that isn't protected. He's a smart boy.
Yep. Anyway, so, and then I know that the handler of that same dog, when he was putting him through training, the dog got frustrated with the continuous training, and just turned around and bit the handler on the hand. Like, no, I'm tired. Anyways,
so right.
Enough about Conan and his dick. Moving on.
Conan and his smile. I remember him for his smile.
Yeah, he has the cutest, happiest smile.
Yes, he's a very good boy. Anyway, so after that, the mainstream. Oh yes, this was the best one. So that was only up till what, Wednesday or Tuesday that they did that. I mean, they were just cruising through. Thank you, Creeper One for the lemon. Appreciate it. The mainstream blundered that really took the top prize this week came from journalist Jessica Kwong, writing for Newsweek. And I will say what Trump said, which is Newsweek still writes. I thought that they were defunct. She published an article saying that Trump was spending Thanksgiving playing golf and tweeting, because that would have been terrible if he had been spending his Thanksgiving holiday relaxing. Can you imagine? That would have been.
That's worth writing.
Good God. So I want to premise this first, which I think a lot of you probably know where the punchline for this is going. But before we get to that, I just want to say, if he was tweeting and playing golf on Thanksgiving, so what?
Who cares?
Why is this a story? And Newsweek came back from bankruptcy to write this crap? Really? Did you guys learn nothing?
They made the wrong choice.
Jesus.
They should go back.
Yes, go back. In reality, Trump had actually made a secret trip to visit our troops deployed in Afghanistan, and he spent Thanksgiving with them. Trump literally worked in a chow hall serving the troops as they served their country. The truth of how Trump actually spent Thanksgiving came out after Jessica's article, which led to her eventually correcting her article.
Yes. Man, I wish I had been in Afghanistan when Trump came through. I was at a base once where he did come through, but he didn't get off the plane. He just landed, refueled, and left. So, anyways, so she got the story wrong because she did what a lot of lazy journalists in the mainstream media do. They took a look at the president's publicly available schedule and assumed that Trump couldn't possibly do anything that's not posted on his public schedule. The thought did not occur to them that there might be some things that Trump doesn't want everyone to know.
Wouldn't going off of the schedule violate established norms?
You can't do that. You can't violate established norms. It's got to be like impeachable or something.
Yes.
But yeah, he might not want to telegraph to the entire world on a public schedule he manages that he's going to a war zone.
Yes, especially that.
And they don't release the news about what had happened until he's already left. That's why, even though he was there, no one knew he was there, and no one at the base is allowed to talk about it until he leaves.
Because it would become a target.
Yeah. There you go. So yes. The funny thing is that he maintains a schedule so people can kind of see what's going on. But that schedule is always subject to change. It is not written in stone. And a lot of stuff he does is not on the fucking schedule.
And sometimes he goes off the schedule.
Yes he does.
Thank you for the follow,
Creeper.
Yes.
Creeper. Sorry.
All right. So overall this week, it was a great reminder that the mainstream media just suck at their job. Like, they're the worst. They are the worst at their job. And they are also doing an amazing job of free advertising for Trump. They're advertising how funny he is, that he's good with dogs, and that... Well, and... What's that?
And they loves the troops.
Yes, and that he loves the troops. So thank you very much for letting us know that, mainstream media. You're just writing the campaign ads for him.
Yeah, I got to ask, though, like, were any of these stories that they reported on, Conan's dick, the fact that he was golfing and tweeting on Thanksgiving, or the fact that he posted a meme with no explanation of him, his head on freaking Rocky's body, were any of these things in any way newsworthy? No. So how are they called news companies? I don't get it. They're not producing news. Are they news in name only?
Do you know what is newsworthy?
What?
ABC News helped Epstein rape a bunch of children.
Yep. At least cover it up.
Anything but that. Anything but that.
All right. Also the news that how freaking Steven Crowder did a very funny video showing how ridiculous it is that in the situation in which Epstein is supposedly to have hung himself, that he first off couldn't have broken the bones in his neck. They did a great demonstration of force on that.
Yes, it was Crowder did a reenactment of trying to hang himself like Epstein did, and showed that you could not plausibly do it on your own. It required the help of somebody else to generate that much force to kill yourself in the way that the media described it.
Yeah, even with his entire body weight and his feet off the ground.
Crowder's a decent sized guy,
right? And he's younger. So, yeah,
Alrighty.
Not believable, to put it lightly.
It's about as believable that Trump changed his schedule for a nefarious Putin requirement.
Oh, that's real. That's I have reliable sources, of which I am one of them.
Yes.
All right, let's do the next story.
Oh, God. Alrighty. The last Canadian comedian, and we don't mean Justin Trudeau. Comedians are nearly an extinct species.
He's a method actor, not a comedian. Change my mind.
Oh my God.
Justin Trudeau is a method actor.
Yeah, is he playing a white guy?
Yes.
Comedians are an extinct species in Canada. Canadian laws that punish people for making offensive jokes have basically destroyed any kind of humor that isn't approved by the far left crybabies, which is to say, no humor at all. And it's basically all dead in Canada. This week, a Canadian court in Quebec ruled that the last living comedian, Mike Ward, must pay $35,000 to a disabled boy he made one joke about during his shows he performed between 2010 and 2013.
The joke in question was regarding Gabriel's a boy named Gabriel and his disability. In 2005, Gabriel sang to Pope Benedict and Celine Dion to flesh out his dream of becoming an international singer. So because he wanted that boy wanted to be an international singer, they let him sing to the Pope and Celine Dion. And here's what the actual joke was about that incident.
Moi, Céline, elle m'impressionne pour une chose. Elle chantait pour le pape. Elle chantait pour le pape quand elle était petite. Il n'y a aucun autre... Ben oui, il y a un autre enfant québécois qui a chanté pour le pape.
Is this whole thing in French, Dyer?
Yes. Okay.
As you guys can see, Dyer doesn't just randomly send me random links that he hasn't vetted before I put them in the PowerPoint.
Would never happen.
Wait, you guys don't speak French? Bigots.
Come on, you don't speak to. Oh, come on! I am offended on his behalf. You owe me $35,000.
I'm gonna force you to watch the rest of this, Dyer.
Okay, one second.
C'est le petit Jérémy. Je sais pas si vous vous rappelez, tu sais, le petit là qui avait comme un subwoofer sur la tête. Là, lui, t'es écœurant. T'allais à côté, tu vas entendre les commandes à l'auto du IW. C'est écœurant. Puis il était un petit peu moins bon que Céline. On se le cachera pas, là. Il avait une voix un petit peu moins mielleuse. Là.
It sounds funny.
Mais il faisait de son mieux. Puis moi, je me rappelle, au début, tout le monde voulait le comparer à Céline. Au début, il est arrivé, tout le monde l'insultait.
All right. I've made you suffer enough. But that does capture our point that whether or not you could understand it, there was French people in the audience who were laughing, or French speakers at least, who were laughing. So somebody thought it was funny.
Yes, that was the important part. So basically, he was joking that this kid had a Make-A-Wish, like he was one Make-A-Wish recipient.
Yes.
That he was on his deathbed because of his disease, and that because of that, that's why he got to sing to the Pope. But then he didn't die.
I remember that.
He feels like the Make-A-Wish Foundation had been cheated because he didn't die, and that he even tried killing the kid, but by drowning him, but it didn't work. So he is a fraud, basically. That was
I agree.
The joke. So the joke was embellished, obviously, because the Gabriel's disability wasn't actually it doesn't affect someone's lifespan. It doesn't kill you. Right. Yeah. So he wasn't. And he also wasn't a Make-A-Wish Foundation recipient. It was all fake. It was all a joke.
Yeah, and it's the irony of and I'm gonna kill the joke here by explaining it, but I guess the left needs it to be explained, and I believe he had actually had to try to explain it to a court too why it was funny, and the breakdown is basically like the irony is that. Because they thought he was going to die, they spent a bunch of money on him. And because he didn't die, isn't that fraud? Don't we want to get our money's worth? Doesn't he have to die now to make it worth giving him all that money? And the irony of it is that you would never wish for death for somebody just to fulfill some kind of charity contract. That's the joke.
See, I knew that what the joke was from watching that video. You guys didn't understand it? Bigots.
Maybe it's just the French have just dark humor.
All right. So the next part's yours.
Ward was originally ordered to pay $7,000, which is probably Canadian dollars. So like, I don't know, what is that? The
$2?
Cucks or it's Canucks or something. I don't know. Or it's I think it's loonies and toonies. I think is what their slang is for dollars. Anyways, 7,000 Canadian dollar dues to Jeremy Gabriel's mother as well, which was absurd. Thankfully, a panel of 3 judges in this case overruled that part. It would be insane. It would be an insane precedent to set that a person's parents are owed money if you insult their loved ones. It is just as absurd, however, to say that you owe someone money because you made a joke about them that offended them.
Seriously. That means you have no freedom of speech. You can't offend somebody. You can't mock them. That's something you can't. That's not ground you can give up, because then now you're going down to what is offensive, and that's going to be different for different people, right? Some people can be offended by anything, and then because you offended them, are you now? Do you owe them money now? That's insane. They definitely don't owe their parents any money. No, thankfully in America, at least for now, you can mock anyone short of actually calling for violence. You can mock anyone and call them any name, and that is okay because you have the freedom to speak. You have the freedom to be an asshole. However, it was so painfully obvious from the transcripts, because I don't actually speak French, of this joke that he was making an absurd scenario about a real incident and making a joke about it. In any case, here's how. So what just happened this month was that he had an appeal, a court of appeals that saw his case, and they threw out the $7,000 charge to the mother, but they kept in place the $35,000 to the kid. So here's what Mark Ward said in response. I've been reading online that I lost my court case, which isn't 100% true. In 2016, the Quebec Human Rights Commission ordered me to pay $42,000 in fines because of a joke I told on stage about a local celebrity who happened to be disabled, a disabled child, $7,000 to the mother and $35,000 to the kid. I refused to pay. Went to the appellate court. The appellate court of Quebec reversed the $7,000 fine, which is a good thing. It means in Canada, if someone makes fun of you, your family doesn't deserve financial compensation. Here is the shit part about Canada. Well, mostly Quebec and Quebec government is still ordering me to pay $35,000 because of a joke. I am, once again, refusing to pay. We are going to take this to the Supreme Court. Comedy is not a crime. In a free country, it shouldn't be up to the judge to decide what constitutes a joke on stage. The people in attendance laughing already answered that question. I'm telling you right now, I'd rather go to prison than pay even 1/10 of this stupid fine.
It's just like very similar to Dankula's case in Great Britain, where they ended up with him trying to settle for $800, whatever it is they spend in Britain. But he also refused to pay it. He also refused to pay it. And that's what you got to do. You got to stand up to that sort of stuff. You can't give in, can't pay that, because you got to stand that ground for the next person.
And for the next time that you're in the same situation, if your job is telling jokes, if you just let this go, then your job is gone. And everyone else that does the same job as you. You've just destroyed the entire industry. You destroyed comedy in Canada and Britain, basically, if you let those go through.
Let's be fair. If you think a kid's going to die and you give him a bunch of money and he doesn't die, don't you feel a little cheated?
Yeah, it's fraud, right? He lied to us. That wasn't
There's an implied contract there.
That wasn't a terminal disease. This means you have your.
I'm not saying he should die. I just saying I feel a little cheated.
He should feel guilty for cheating me.
Yes. He should countersue for fraud. All right. Alrighty. Well, we had a little bit of a late start. We're running up close on time. So, do we want to
hit 3 stories?
Do we want to do the next 2 and then cut the last one?
You want to do 1 and 2 instead of doing D?
Okay, so you want to skip D?
No, I know you love D, but I think we should do 1 and 2 instead. But I'm.
The stream just ends. Alrighty. So, well, why don't we say goodbye? Well, the stream's going to end for YouTube, actually. So Why don't we say goodbye to YouTube?
All right. YouTube, thanks for all the memories. But because we're going to go on to those topics that YouTube will not sanction, we'll definitely end our channels over. I'm going to be shutting off YouTube. So please go to the link. Oh, for the love of God, I didn't put the link to DLive. Go to DLive.com and find Direwolf and follow us there.
Well, we're waiting for YouTube. We want more cute pictures of Conan. He's so happy.
Quick and post the link real quick in that channel. So more pictures of Conan.
Yay. He's such a good boy. Such a good boy.
Well, I feel vindicated because I called him a guy initially and people were trying to correct me.
Yeah. I mean, the military, the Pentagon press conference explaining the entire raid said multiple times that he was a boy, so that's what I gotta go with. That was the public statement. The other part of that too that we didn't have time to go into was the media was trying to say that because Trump misgendered him, the Pentagon went through and retroactively changed other documents to try and align with Trump, and that it was a conspiracy that Conan was a boy and that the Pentagon was in on it. I mean, this went so much deeper than what we had time to go into, but like the media, they turned this into like a very broad conspiracy.
So now the conspiracy is going to be, that's a fake dick. They put a fake dick on the dog. It's a prosthesis.
Do you think it's a biologically female dick?
It could be. You're right. I did not consider that possibility. I mean, actually, likelihood. It is a high likelihood.
In low likelihood, Conan's probably a eunuch. Poor guy.
I don't know. Do they
probably not for military dogs, because you got to retain the aggression, right? I mean, the part of the reason why you get rid of the balls is to get rid of the aggression. So I assume that you would want that.
I don't think they knew the military working dogs. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I never really checked.
Did they neuter you, Dyer?
What was that?
What?
It wasn't one of the top 10 questions. I'll give you that.
Alrighty. So, next story. Alrighty.
Just give me a quick second. My computer's running a little slow.
I already got rid of the picture of.
Okay, everyone on YouTube, just go to a previous video of mine and find the link to DLive there, because YouTube's being slow right now. But thank you very much for watching on YouTube. We're gonna shut you guys off. Go to DLive, follow us there, because we might not be on YouTube for very much longer. Goodbye.
Oh.